Hello. Ha! The law.
Yeah.
Viewers and subscribers of Battle Pitola, welcome once again. Thank you for clicking this video. In this video, I'm talking with Chimezie. He's a lawyer, a legal luminary in Nigeria. So he's going to be telling us about himself, and then we're going to be asking him some questions. Some people on the channel have asked questions about company registration, and so I thought to bring a subject matter expert, so that they'll do justice to the topic. So Chimezie would speak now. He will give us a brief introduction, and then I'll start asking him questions from what you've asked and from likely areas or questions that may show or throw some light on company registration and the whole works in Nigeria. So over to you, our guests.
So briefly, my name is Chimezie Ndubuisi, and I'm a CAC accredited agent. I've registered over 500 businesses, companies,
That's a
accredited
lot.
trustees, partnership, and I've also helped several other of my colleagues that have one challenge or the other in trying to sort out their issues with CAC. And like I've always said, CAC requires expertise and patience. But then because they are the only regulator in the environment, we have to just accept them for who they are and try to cope with their, like I say, of course, they are responding to queries, but then it takes time, but then you have to just have patience and follow it through. At the end of the day, no matter your problem with registration, it will be solved. So currently, I'm practicing with Dodo in Abuja, an Abuja-based law firm, Dodo SN. That's where I work currently. So I don't know if there's any other thing you want to know about me, but I think this is
Okay,
okay.
great.
Thank you
I
very much.
think I think you've done justice to it. So I just want I wanted you to lay a foundation so that the viewers will know what where you're talking from, or what you are talking, like your, how do I put it now, authority, how authoritative you are. And I think that if someone has registered 500 companies in Nigeria, please give it up for them. I remember I remember one very funny CAC experience I had. Since that time, I've been very, very wary of CAC. I think that because I had given the issue now. I'm glad that you said that what someone needs is patience, because I remember that time, I think it was 2020, there was, I had given the client wanted, I think he wanted a month, me to deliver the work in a month, and I was like, okay, yes, we'll do it. He paid, we started. After a month, we were still there. Name reservation, very fast, very easy. You now register this company. Now I will go to, where's that place in Lagos? So is it I forgot it, that CAC office, the one that is close to MBA secretariat. I will keep going. You will queue. You see so many people there, and it was COVID-19. You have to pick a number, queue at the gate, then they will call you, you will come in. After like a month or almost 2 months, they told me that, in fact, all the people that registered during that period, that they've already processed their company registration. So they couldn't even find my whatever at all, not to talk of even processing it. Then I had to speak to a man who now, like, it turned to serious prayer point for me. By the time I was there, I spoke to a man, he pressed something on his phone. So apparently he probably just entered it manually. That means that while I was expecting, nobody was even doing anything. Do you know that by that, the almost the end of that day or the next day, the thing came out? So I was wondering, so what if I sat in my house waiting that, oh, they'll do it, and maybe I was calling that all those their numbers that they put on Twitter, that they say we are working on it, we are working on it. As these are, I will sit, and then the clients will begin to look at you, that is this lawyer competent? They will not know where the fault is coming from. So I'm glad you mentioned patience and all of that. So we're going to be talking about that in more detail. But first, let's not jump the gun. What is company registration in Nigeria? And what's the legal implication of registering a business or a company in Nigeria?
Okay. To start with, when businessmen talk about company registration, you try to situate it under Nigerian context. And under Nigerian context, a business can either be registered in four ways. The first is a business name, second is company, third is limited partnership, and the fourth is limited liability partnership. So these are the four ways a business person can actually register his or her business. So company registration is just a way of notifying the government that you have a business going on. Because without such registration, the government is not aware of you having a business that is going on. And maybe you meet a third party or your prospective client or customer and he asks you, what is the evidence of you having a business? When he asks that question, he's not relying on your oral representation. He wants to see a document that actually says, okay, this business is recognized under Nigerian law. So in short, company registration is just a process of notifying the government that we have a business. Then it's now the business owner that will decide whichever type of business he wants to register. He can register a business name, can register a company, can register a business, a limited partnership, and can register a limited liability partnership. These are the four business structures that can be registered in Nigeria.
Great. So, would you like to tell us, for lawyers, because the channel is for laymen, for law students, and for lawyers, so we're going to be oscillating between those three people and, the content that is most appropriate to them. So, would you like to tell us, we talk about part A, part B, part C. Where does each company fall? The ones you've mentioned now, where do they fall, and how do we talk about them now? Especially, there's a new camera. So in the light of that, is this still part A, part B, part C? And what are the types of company in each part?
Okay. It's no longer Part A of the new company Matters Act 2020 deals generally with the functions of the Corporate Affairs Commission. Part B is where you have, then at Part C is where you have the limited liability partnership. Part D is where you have the limited partnership. Part E is where you have the business name registration. Then Part F is now where you have the incorporated trustees.
Oh,
So these now
wow.
they are
So it's
the
not part F,
new.
not part C.
Yes.
So if you're a Nigerian lawyer and you have not read the new CAMO, you are not up to date. You are like in the olden days. So thank you so much for clarifying that. Now you said that if one does not register the company, the government is not aware yet that you have a business running. So is it a must to register my business? You said the government is not aware. Yes, I don't even want the government to be aware. Or what's my business with the government? They are not funding my business. So must I register my business, or what are the advantages of registration or the disadvantages of not registering a business?
Okay, this is a very tricky one, but then legally speaking, it is compulsory for every business owner to register his or her business. In fact, the law provides under Part E that if you're a business owner, you have within 28 days after the commencement of that business to actually register it with the Corporate Affairs Commission. And even in that section, I think around in a section in Company and Allied Matters Act, it makes it punishable by some terms of imprisonment if you
Oh, wow.
actually continue after 28 days and you did not register. So legally speaking, that is compulsory for what? For every business owner to register his or her business in Nigeria. It's just that we are just grateful to God that CAC maybe don't have the manpower to enforce these laws, because if they enforce it,
Or the willpower, even.
if they enforce it, more than 60% of Nigerians will go to jail.
Yes. Because
If
I can
this man,
imagine, that around here, you could literally just wake up one day and say, okay, I want to start selling water, or I want to start
yes,
making jewelry from my house and I'll be selling to people, or I'll start sewing clothes, I'll be taking it to work for my colleagues and all of that. So what you're saying now is that once I start that, I have 28 days after starting to register, or
yes,
I'm liable or culpable of a crime. Is that what you
yes,
have
that's
said? Wow, that's interesting. So apart from that legal requirement, which makes it compulsory, what are the advantages? Okay, if I decide, let me comply with the law and register, what benefits do I gain? Now these days, if they send us this email for lawyers now that, okay, when you pay your bar practicing fee before 31st, these are the benefits. You get free this, you'll be able to do this, so what are the benefits of registering my business in Nigeria?
okay. The rates of rate business in Nigeria are enormous. The first one is you are the only person that is entitled to that to the use of the name that you registered. The law provides that upon registration, there will be no other company or business that will be registered in a name that is similar to an already registered name, either similar or conflicting to that already registered name. So let's assume, for instance, I register with Chimezie Ndubuisi. I register with Chimezie Ndubuisi Legal Practice. So what it means is that no other company or no other business will be registered in a name that is similar to Chimezie Ndubuisi Legal Practice or that has the effect of actually conflicting with that my already registered name. So the first advantage is that way it secures your business name, that
Okay.
name that you're using to do your business. It secures it. So if people have known you for that name, no other person can actually come and claim that name. Because if anybody tries to register it in CAC, CAC will flag it down. And if by inadvertence, CAC not register that business name or company, and you get to know, you have a right to actually write to the CAC and demand that the name that was registered after yours be pulled down or be changed. That is the first requirement. Then the second requirement is that it gives you the opportunity to actually open a bank account in the name of your business.
That's
Now
true.
our world has gone digital, even especially with this recent CBN policy or this Naira redesign, you find out that there will be limited money in circulation. So businesses have to now start relying on what transfer using bank transfers to do any transaction. So you can imagine this, for instance, now I've related with a client as Chimezie Ndubuisi Legal Practice. And we asked to make payments for my legal services of my proposed legal services, and I'm sending my personal bank account number. It might actually become apprehensive that okay, maybe this guy wants to dupe me. You get what I'm saying? But
Yes.
if he has been doing this legal practice, and I'm sending him account number that also has the same name, Chimezie this legal practice, so it helps him to to convince him that oh, that I'm not a fake, that I'm not about to dupe him. Then that's the second one. The third advantage is that it also helps you to access some government grants and interventions. No governments usually do grants for business, especially in this COVID-19. They'll ask businesses to come
Yes,
and
that's true.
actually and the only way you can convince the government, like I said earlier, that you have a business is by certificate of registration of your business. So these are just the really three advantages that comes to mind about registration of your business or company.
Yes, thank you so much. So I remember as you were speaking the second point, I remember one time I was to execute a contract with a law firm in Lagos. It was a top law firm, and they wanted me to do some content creation for them. And when I gave them my name and everything, at that time I was just doing everything as it came. So they were like, they want me to sign an NDA that was my um business name. That they asked me that this business name that I gave them, is it registered? I'm thinking maybe so that they will know who to sue or what name to sue in case of an infringement. So that was what even made me register my business. That was what made me register my business back then. And then when you talk about government grant, I remember also that I was working with a business during COVID-19 period. I was what was my role in that business? I was basically managing the business and doing some online social media management for them and all of that. So we wanted to apply to some of these grants that were giving, that government was giving small businesses, Facebook grants, Nigerian government grants and all of that. And I remember that we had to, at different points, we had to put our um, company registration number and so many other things, our financial statements, structures, and all of. And it was a small business, so well, it was registered, but we did not have some of those things. So I think that's one of the things that business registration does for you. You know that even in the long run, after registration, you have to file some returns and all of that. So it really helps you structure your business. Thank you for the points that you have touched on. So what are the agencies and the laws that are guiding business registration in Nigeria? I know we've talked about CAC, but uh, uh, let's talk about it again. And if there are other agencies and other laws, even last week I was having a discussion with someone, and the person was asking me about my colleague at work. Actually, we're discussing Section 16 of the Constitution, where it talks about, Chapter 2 talks about, economic rights and all of that, and then Section 16, I think subsection maybe 4 was talking about a body that will be established, to oversee the regulation and control ownership of businesses in Nigeria and all of that. So both I wouldn't say arguing, we were trying to find out what's the body. Is it CAC? Is it FCCPC? What's the rightful body? So we lean towards FCCCP. I remember I googled it. I looked for the Establishment Act and all of that, but we couldn't find anything that linked to Section 16. But we just assumed. Now, so today I now posted it online, and a majority of people that have responded on Twitter are saying that it is actually CAC. So I just wanted to talk about the regulating authority or authorities for business registration in Nigeria and some of the laws. If someone is a law student, what they need to know. If someone is a lawyer, what are the regulatory authorities they will be interfacing with from time to time when it comes to business registration?
Okay, this is a very wonderful question because I remember last year a friend contacted me and said he wants to, okay, he said a friend of his said that she registered her business with the SMADA, SMADA, small and medium enterprises,
Yes,
wherever of Nigeria. I registered with SMADAN and the person that registered it for her. Okay, the friend actually came. How my friend got to know her is that the lady came out in church to give a testimony that she registered her business with SMADAN. It took several months and everything, but after all, like you said, that your own turn to prayer point. So she came and gave
Exactly.
after all that her business is now registered and recognized in Nigeria. So my friend engaged her after the text. I was like, what do you mean by SMADAN? That you register your business with SMADAN? So the lady was like, yes, yes. I told my friend that this is the misconception that we're having in Nigeria. People think that registering your business with SMADAN is actually registration under the law. There is only one institution that regulates business registration in Nigeria, and that is the Corporate Affairs Commission. And this institution is established by what? The Company and Allied Matters Act of 2020. It was formerly Company and Allied Matters Act of 2004, but now it has been repealed and amended to Company and Allied Matters Act of 2020. So it is only the CAC that regulates the registration, management, and every allied matter relating to business registration and control in Nigeria. So every other thing is just complementary to CAC rule. If you want to know whether any business is registered in Nigeria, you go to the registry of the CAC.
Okay.
Any other authority like SMADA is just a way of where government wanted to invest in a small and medium enterprises. So they created an agency that will help in what? Providing training workshop for businesses that are registered just to help their profitability. But the foundation of registration, the foundation upon which for you to be recognized as a business in Nigeria is what? Is resident in the Corporate Affairs Commission. Like you spoke about FCCP. FCCP is a regulatory body that protects consumer rights. So they just regulate that aspect of consumer rights. Are you giving the good services to people? That's what they regulate. Because you find out that in Nigeria, several businesses don't care about their clients or their customers. They give them poor treatment. You get, so that's what FCCP actually came to solve, to make sure that the consumer rights are protected. When you talk about the structure and the foundation of every business is with CAC, that the one that regulate businesses in Nigeria. So if you get any, for instance, like if anybody comes and tell me that my business is registered and gives me a certificate issued by the Ministry of Trade and Investment, maybe SMADAN, know what he or she is talking about because the act is clear that it says that is in charge of any registration.
Okay. So what about the laws?
Okay, the law, there's only one law. That's the Company and Allied Matters Act of 2020.
Okay, great.
So
The
under
Company
the
and Allied Matters Act of
and
2020.
2020. Of course, under the law, CAC have power to issue several directives.
Okay.
Like they have a company procedure, insolvency practice. There are several laws that
I
stems,
didn't get the
several
first
regulations, not
one.
laws,
The first one.
like company procedure, company
Okay.
registration procedure.
Okay.
That talks about the requirement of registration. They have to provide, okay, if you are registering, CAC will require some information from you.
Yes.
So this company procedure goes into detail and say, okay, look at the information that you are required to provide when you want to register your company. Or if you want to do any particular procedure with the CAC, look at the document that you need to have before that procedure can go through. And you also have insolvency practitioners regulations and several other regulations that comes, but all of them stems from what the powers given to CAC and the Minister of Trade and Investment under this Company and Allied Matters Act 2020.
Okay, thank you so much. So, who can register a business in Nigeria?
Anybody actually.
Okay.
Anybody, whether you're a citizen, whether you're a foreigner, anybody, so long as you are willing to do business in Nigeria, you can register your business in Nigeria.
Okay, thank you. Then how long does it take to register? I think when I say who can register a business, let's divide it into two. Let's talk about who can register a business, that is the owner of the business, of course. You said anybody, foreigner, Nigerian. Then who can register, that is who can approach CAC for registration.
Okay, understand your question. Anybody can register a business, either a Nigerian citizen or a foreigner, but then you must be at least 18 years of age before you can register your business in Nigeria. But then there are also some other exceptions, like company registration. If you are a minor and you have interest of registering, being a member of a company, that means you must have two other adults. That means you will be three in total before you can register as a minor. That means the minor plus two other adults. That's the only ground for which a minor can be allowed to register a business under Nigerian law. But if it's for a business name, you must be up to 18 years old, 18 years of age before you can register.
Okay, so how long does it take to register a business in Nigeria? That is, I think that's the most important question. But before we answer that, let me subsume it into a question that a viewer actually asked. I'm going to read it out here. This is Sam. Sam says that what are the steps to register a limited liability company, the cost and the duration of registration, including online registration? That's his question. But my own question is, how long does it take to register a business? My follow-up is, what does it cost? So we're going to merge those three together. So yes, so he says steps. We'll talk about steps much later, but let's talk about cost and duration now.
Okay, I'll first of all start with duration. Okay, I was surprised when you told me that your registration took over how many months before it's registered?
2 months.
It was registered.
2 months.
So, but right now, like for me, let me use mine for example. I can register a business or a company minimum of 2 working days and maximum of 5 working days.
Registration, no, not business name.
Yes.
Hey.
I've done it.
Lawyer.
No, see, that's the truth of the matter. You know, the thing is that what I've discovered is that all these things, like you said, all these things is a matter of expertise.
Yes.
For instance, why my registration is that fast is that registration ever rarely gets queried.
Okay.
You get the point? Like before I send it, I make sure that all the documents are intact.
Yes.
So what is that once they see it on the CAC end, approved.
So because you've been doing it for so long, you already know how to avoid whatever will make it delayed.
Yes.
Great.
Sometimes here my client sends me a passport and I feel like the passport is not clear, or means of identification, I feel like it's not clear. I will reject it on my own end and tell him rather than me waiting until sending it to CAC so that they query it, I'll now come and start over again. No. I use myself as a CAC approving officer.
Okay,
I check through the record.
Great.
What I feel I'll tell my clients, no, send me a clearer like means of identification, send me a clearer means of identification. If you send me your name, and you send me, okay, if you send me, let's say you send me your means of identification, which has your date of birth, and now sends me another date of birth, I'll tell you that these two dates of birth do not tally, they don't match. Why are they different? You have to choose the one that you want to use. Either you use the one on your means of identification, or you get me another means of identification that has the date of birth that you want to use. And think you know that okay, that was good before CAC now brought this regulation and now says the only means of identification for registration is what? NIN. You know that's the only means of registration for CAC. Now they don't use voter's card, driver's license, or international passport again. Initially, as of last year, they use driver's license, NIN, voter's card, or international passports. These are the four recognized acceptable means of registration with the CAC. But this year, they said no, that the only means of accept identification for means of identification in Nigeria that they will accept now is just NIN. So
Okay.
right now, if a client sends me a name, let's say his name on the NIN is, let me use my name, Chimezie Amos Ndubuisi, which is first name, middle name, and surname. And then on the name he's sending me, he now sends me Amos Chimezie Ndubuisi. So if I'm entering that name, I will use the one that appears on the means of identification, so that for what, to maintain consistency. Because these are the part of the reason why some registration actually take long. Because by the time you send it, they will query it and say the name does not tally, amend the name and everything. They will query it. So these are things that on my own end I have removed in my registration. And that's what makes my registration very, very fast. And I'll give kudos to CAC. Once you send them an application right now, within the maximum of 48 hours, they will respond.
Okay.
Responding is say that if you meet the criteria, they will approve. If you don't meet all the criteria, they will query it. But they are really up to their game in terms of registration now.
Yes, I
So
think
that's why.
CAC is actually trying. Because after that one I spoke about, that was after I registered. That was before I registered my own business. And even when I registered my own business, it was even faster than the one that I did for a client. So I understand. So if you're watching this video, if you're the one that asked the question, or if you are watching anyhow, you can tell that our guest is a subject matter expert. He has registered over 500 companies. He's going to give us his contacts at the end of the discussion, so stay tuned. So it's best to just approach someone that has the expertise. You can hear what he said, that it's not because of how often he has been doing it. He already knows what to avoid, so he can get it done in 2 working days, and I think, or even less. And I think that is really great. So if you have company registration concerns, you should approach him. He'll give us his contact at the end. But let's move on. So what about the costs?
Okay, this is another tricky. Cost, okay, for instance, it has a flat cost, so you can register. People do it based on their range. Some people register for 20, 25, 30.
Okay.
That's how they use it. For company registration, the cost actually depends on the share capital of the company.
Okay.
For instance, the minimum share capital for a private company in Nigeria is 100,000 naira. That's the minimum share capital of a company. So the cost of registration of a company now depends on the share capital person, the person that is forming the company actually wants to use and start the company. You can decide to go by 1 million, you can decide to go by 2 million, you can decide to go by 3 million. So because how does it affect it? Because you pay a stamp duty fee of 0.75%
Okay.
on each on your capital. So if you choose 1 million for capital, you are going to pay 0.75% of what, of 1 million naira to FRM. Yes, to a Federal Inland Revenue Service. You have to pay them that for stamp duty. Then you now talk about CAC charges. So people also some people register CAC for company for maybe a 1 million share capital company. Some register is for 50,000, 60,000, 70,000, depending on the range and your bargaining power with the person you are registering. But then the cost is directly affected by the share capital of the company. Because for each, like I've already explained, for each share capital, you have the CAC cost implication and there's what, stamp duty cost implications.
Okay, great. So you have said that the cost is very it's not cast in stone. There are costs that should be paid to CAC, and then I suppose that the lawyer would add his own charges and all of that. So if you want to register a company, if you're approaching your lawyer, when they give you the appeal, don't start saying they want to swindle you because you've seen someone that does it for less. I'm even aware that some companies in Lagos, all these top tier law firms, they even charge in dollars, for business
Yes.
registration. So you could find a company. I think someone was talking about how a company charges $1,000 for to register a foreign company in Nigeria. And probably if they approach another lawyer, it might say, okay, bring 500,000 naira. So it's all dependent. And I think that the expertise would also dictate what the lawyer would charge. For instance, if you are going to deliver the business in 2 days or 24 hours, you wouldn't be charging like someone that will just tell the client that anytime it comes out, so that's when it comes out. So, you're paying for so many things. You're paying for expertise, you're paying for regulatory interface. If something goes wrong, the lawyer knows how to troubleshoot, who to contact, what medium of redress to get, and all of that. So I think all of that is factored in. So cost is not cast in stone. That's the long and short of it. So let's talk about how to. Okay, I wanted to ask a question that we find so many people doing company registration in Nigeria. They say they are CAC accredited agents. Some people even do banner. They do social media, Instagram advertisement, Facebook advertisement. Oh, I'll register your company in so time. You pay me. Some people even do like a cost kind of advert that maybe the normal thing would be 100,000. You just see someone say, I can do it for 20. Come with this and that. So how would you advise people who want to register their business? Do you think that approaching a lawyer has any advantage over just anybody? Because many of these agents are not even lawyers. So do you think there's a difference? And I know that there's like a cold war going on between lawyers and non-lawyers who register businesses. So those non-lawyers think that anybody can do it. What do you mean? Then lawyers are saying, okay, this thing lawyers should be doing it and all of that. So do you think there's a difference? And how would you advise somebody from an objective point of view? Should I go to just anybody, or do you think if I go to a lawyer, it will be better, or there's an advantage?
Okay, of course, my answer is there's an enormous advantage with registering with a legal practitioner or someone that knows, a legal practitioner or an accountant that at least know what CAC terminology is talking about. I've had experiences where someone will register his company, then later in the future, he starts having issues as regards the share. He will now tell me that, okay, when we were registering, this was not how I told the person that registering to actually divide the ownership of the company. I now found out that the other person's owner is equal to me in the company. I can't even do several things in the company. But these are things that, assuming you have contacted a lawyer, like, first of all, like I do to my clients, I explain to them the meaning of share capital. I also explain to them how the company works so that they understand what they are going into. If, for instance, now they are registering with somebody, I'll ask them, do you want to actually control this company or you want it to be equal ownership? If they say they want to control a company, then there are things that you have to put in terms of their shareholding. So you know who controls and who does not control it. But these people, like especially the business center people, their own is just once they click in there, they put the share capital, put everything, and their registration ends there. They don't know that after registration, there's what is called regulatory compliance.
Exactly,
For instance,
exactly.
now there's the case that we're handling in my office. It's about CSA trying to enforce company allied matters act of 1990 against 7 up. What was the case of 7 up? Just because they did not put their registered RC number and their name on their signboard in their office. That's an offense. After
Okay.
registration, you're supposed to put your RC number and then the name of your company in every of your correspondence. So
Oh,
every letter that your company sends out must have your RC number and your name as registered with CAC.
this
And
is
that is an
bonus
offense.
knowledge. Bonus knowledge. Because
And
I
that
used
is
to wonder when I see people put that, I'll be like, oh, is this so that we can know that you are registered? Because especially all those small business, any small thing, they'll put it. Even some people in front of their shop, they'll put it RC so. So now I know why, and now you know why if you're watching this video as well.
so in as much as people put it for kind of to notify people that they actually register with CAC, but it also has another advantage because you're actually complying with the regulations of the law. Because that is an offense that CAC fines you for each day of default, and I think the regulation says it's 200 naira for each day of default. So you can imagine if decide to come and like what happened in this 7 I was telling you about. I think they were in default for like 3 years. Since
Wow.
calculated then on the 1990 Act, I think it was 50 50 naira for each day of default. And so it's talking about
That's
almost a
10
million.
years. Wow.
Okay. So like I was saying, so the matter has been in court that the Corporate Affairs Commission were handling for with 7 up. It is going up to the way to Supreme Court, but we know they are going to fail because they actually violated the provisions of the Company Allied Matters Act because officials of CAC went to their office in Ibadan and they didn't see
Okay.
that identification mandatory required by the Covenant Matters Act. So you find out that, like for me, each time I register a business for people, I actually give them what I call legal advice, just to advise them in terms of legal compliance and all. So that's one of the reasons why it's actually good to register with what a lawyer. And again, there's another thing is that before you can actually register a business on behalf of somebody on the CAC portal, you must be an accredited agent.
Mm-hmm.
You get it? So there have been issues where these people that are not accredited agents, they will go to CAC portal, they open an account. So maybe when they open their account, they use to register their own name and everything went on good. And they felt like, okay, I can even do this, let me do for other people. Then only for them to realize that their second registration, let's say they want to register for somebody for maybe business name, then I find out that their details is also appearing in that business that they registered.
Oh,
Because
that's
if you open an account with CAC and you're not an accredited agent account, any registration you do there, if it's a company, you must be one of the shareholders. If it's a business, you
mm-hmm.
must be one of the.
That's right.
If it's an IT, you must be one of the trustees. So, but it's only when you register with an accredited agent that you can actually make do with all these your name occurring there. And then there's other thing that people also do. Maybe what they now do is when they get a registration, they will now open an account in the name of the person that actually registered that business. You get the point? Maybe now, when they did the first registration, they opened an account with them. Now they are doing a second registration. They are now opening an account with the name of the person that actually gave them that registration. You get the point? So they
No, I don't. You mean with the former client?
okay. So let's say for instance, now I am not an accredited agent. You
Okay.
get so I registered my own business. I went to CAC portal, opened the business, and everything went on well. And I thought, okay, I can still be doing it. So when I tried my second attempt, and I discovered that my details is now appearing in that person's business registration. So I now thought about it, really circumvent this bottleneck we see. So what I now decided was, okay, if I get the registration for maybe A to register his business, what I will do is that I will create an account in A's name.
Okay.
I'll create a fresh account
Okay.
in A
Okay. Okay.
and register it. So, but then we've also discovered that after doing this, if you go to the post incorporation of this company or this business, it starts having issues because of a member of the company that's a shareholder. So, doing some post incorporation procedure on that company becomes at times difficult, and since we keep on querying, and then you might find that you might have to also revert and go and ask the person and retrieve that account that was used in registering it. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Before you can actually do anything like that. So when you compare all these things, you find out that it's actually better to register with an accredited agent. And again, there's other things that sometimes most of these people, when they are registering, maybe your email, your phone numbers, they don't care. They only just to put anything. They don't know that these things have legal implications in the future. Just click anything that they want to click and then sense it out, and you only find out about the problem later in the future when you start having issues. That's when you now call on people that you feel like are now expert. Of course, you are going to pay more. But the reason why they run away from the expert is because of
So
the
as
cost
not
of
to pay, but then you end up
it's
paying
cost.
more at the end of the day.
So that's
Exactly.
just it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I think that the most important thing that we can pick from what you have said is that the lawyer knows about regulatory compliance. So the lawyer will help you comply with the law in total. So a layman agent might not be able to do that for you. So it's just better for you to do business with a lawyer from scratch so that you don't have to now come and patch, when someone that doesn't really know so much has done a shoddy job for you. So thank you so much. So I want to ask, what's the difference between of course there's a difference.
There's one other point I need to
Yes,
point out.
please.
For instance, now, okay, last week someone contacted me that that she wants to register a business. Okay, she first of all asked me, made inquiry about registration of IT. So when she made the inquiry, I gave her the cost implication. So she reverted back to her client. And the client said, no, this is too much. Let me go for business name. I
Mhm.
said, okay, no problem. So business name. Business name is cheaper now. So when he now sent me the details, lo and behold, Details was the details of an IT. It's a church. This wanted to register.
Okay.
I said, there's no way you can register a church under a business name. Business name is for business. A church is for what? Charitable, is a charitable organization. So now, if for instance now I proceed and maybe okay, they say I like money too much. I proceed to collect your money. If I reserve the name, CAC can never approve that registration because they look at my nature of business and they'll find out that it's what is relating to what church. They will just query it. They will just query it and tell me to actually go and register it under IT. But remember, by that time, you would have paid money for registration.
Mhm.
And then you have to go through the angle of a refund of money with CAC, which is also which is a tedious process. But so that's why you actually need a lawyer. Okay, and some other times some people want to do like this what's it called? Tour and travel.
Okay.
People
Yes.
who help
Yes.
people to book flights and all and all. Some people want to do it and they want to do it under a business name. And the law clearly provides that CAC regulation provides that you cannot register tour and travel under a business name. You can only register it under a company. So you find out that it's only experts that actually know about all these things. There are some
Mhm.
industries that play in. You can't go into that industry with a business name. You must register a company before you can be allowed to play in that industry. Like banking industry, all these industries that have their regulation, you must register as a company. So that's just why it's just useful because a lawyer will actually advise you better on which, like like
Exactly.
I said, there are four types of business registered under the law. So a lawyer will advise you better on which particular one actually suits and benefits your business.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You know, when you were talking, I just remembered that another thing is that sometimes when some people are registering businesses, when you have to pick the purpose of the business, they'll just pick anything. So a lawyer would know which one. You know, there are sometimes actually, if we're being fair, sometimes the CAC list does not really encapsulate all that you want to do with your business, the items on the list. So I found that sometimes some people will just pick just anything, and you find out that this is too sweeping. The
Yeah,
company wants to do this, and then you have picked this as the objective. It is too wide, and sometimes
yeah,
they are not even correlating. So that's one of the benefits of doing business with a lawyer. They will know the right things to do and all of that. So I want to ask, recently someone asked me about this. And so what had happened was that somebody had a name that they had registered as a business name and was already thriving a successful startup, so to speak. And then um, I think it was this year. So another startup wrote to them that they should stop using that name, even though they are first in time, but they are saying that they have registered, they have trademarked that name. And so they are now asking this person who has or is already popular with the name, is already using it successfully and all of that, that don't use this name again. We have registered, you have not trademarked, we've trademarked. And then this other person was now saying that, but they registered with CAC. So the friend that gave me the letter and asked me to advise was saying that what is the implications. So I want you to answer that question. Of course, I know the answer, but I want you to explain it in more detail. I am coming from a trademark perspective because I know so much about that. And then I want you to come from a CSC perspective now. That which one is stronger? We shouldn't be asking that question, but just for the purpose of this conversation, which one is stronger? And then who do you think has more claim to that name, the person that trademarked it or the person that registered with CAC? And for any typical situation, what should somebody do? Should I register with CAC and then trademark, or with trademark and then CAC? Or should I do one of the two, or must I do the two together? Yes. So just everything together, you can take it.
Okay. Okay. The thing is, if you look at the CAC Company and Allied Matters Act, it deals with company registration. So its concern is with company registration, and trademarks concern is with trademarks forever. I'm not really familiar with that aspect, but trademark they should deal with trademark. So, for instance, now the law is clear that it is the first person that registers his or her business that has a right of using that name. So, for instance, if I register my business this year, maybe even if let's say I registered it on 1st of January 2023, and register your own on the 2nd of January 2023. Under the law, I came first before you. You get the point? So
Okay.
it doesn't affect it that after you registered on the 2nd of January 2023, you now went and trademarked your own. Even if, let's say, even on that same January 2nd, 2023. The most important consideration is that what? Before yours came, mine was already there. You get what
Okay.
I'm saying? I am the one that has the right, first of all, to write to CAC, what? To ask you to change the name of your registration because it is conflicting with my own name.
Okay.
And I still have the right that if I write to CAC and after some time CAC did not respond to my letter, I can take both CAC and the person that registered after me to court for the court to now order CAC to order them for the court to order CAC to withdraw that certificate of registration from them.
And the register there.
Yes, there's a case, I cannot remember the authority, but there's a case by the Court of Appeal. It ended at the Court of Appeal. Someone registered, it was the same month of registration, but the difference was just 5 days. So after
5 days.
that 5 days, 5 days. So after that, and that was even when this issue of registry was not that, like, online, you can stay in the comfort of your room and search a name on the safety portal to see if it's registered or not. So then there was no such, it was around 98 something. So the person registered and later discovered that another person registered a name that is very, very similar to his name. So he wrote to the company and asked them to do a change of name and change because it's conflicting with their already registrar. The company refused. Wrote to CAC, CAC did not do anything. It took the both CAC and the company to court. And the court
Okay.
of appeal held that to play provisions of the law. Once someone has been able to prove that the name he registered first, that also has been able to prove that he registered a name first, and the second name now clearly resembles or is likely to conflict with already registered, that is only one option open to CAC. Once the person raises a complaint, is what? For CAC to withdraw a certificate of registration for the second company and ask the second company to do a change of what? A change of name. So that is the clear provision. So, and of course, there was time my friend helped me to do a trademark registration. I know that even when you're registering a trademark, they will ask you for your company registration details, right?
Yes.
So if just like Dennis said, you cannot put something on nothing and expect it to stand. So if by virtue of the fact that the person registered his company registration before you, and then you now use the second registration to go and register your trademark, once the person have knocked off your company registration off, yes, it automatically has to affect the trademark that you register with that company that has been knocked off. Because trademark registration is working on the fact that what your company registration is what is valid and sufficient for all intent and purpose. But
Purpose.
then now that someone has discovered that it's actually conflicting with his first registered company name and has now proceeded and says that now withdraw your certificate, you have to actually go and do subsequent amendments to your own names.
Okay. So I'm looking at it in this way. Okay,
Okay.
what you are saying that company registration would take preeminence
Yes.
over trademark. Is that what you have said?
Yes.
So
That's what I've said.
if someone has registered with CAC, they can go home and
Yes.
sleep. That nothing will happen to their name. So in the instance that I
Yes.
gave, so the issue was that the company was saying that they registered with, I think I have the company's letter that I was sent. So the company was saying that they actually did a search and they realized that the name was available, and then they trademarked it. Yes. And then they are now saying that in the case of a trademark, since they've trademarked it, anyone that wants to use the name requires their licensing or their consent before they can use the name and all of that. So they have just spoken from the angle of trademarking. But this person that is asking for legal advice only did company registration with CAC, like maybe 3 years earlier before they did their own trademark. So I think you asked the question that when someone is trademarking, would they have would they with the Ministry of Trade and whatnot, would they be asking for company registration? I'm not sure that's a requirement. I'm not sure that's a requirement. But what I'm even trying to say now is that who do you think has a better claim, a stronger claim? Is it the person that registered with CAC or the person that trademarked the name?
Okay, let me understand you first. The first person registered the company, right?
CAC, yes.
And then the second company, do you register this his company or it trademarks his name first?
Trademark the name. They trademark the name.
Okay, they trademark the name before registration.
I'm not even certain if they registered because they did not provide that in their letter. They just said that they have rightfully trademarked it. Yes, that's what's in the letter. But their name has limited something limited. So that would mean that they registered it, but they did not disclose whether they registered before or after. So I just have the letter, not necessarily the full facts of the case. So the person that's asking the question was just saying that okay, so they are saying they trademarked it, and they now sent a cease and desist that stop using our name. Oh, we trademarked it, and when we trademarked it, we did a search and we confirmed that no other company has trademarked this name in all the classes with the logos and everything. So we have the rightful claim to the name. You stop using it. This person is saying, I have registered it. I have not trademarked, but I've registered it with CAC. I'm already popular with this name and all of that. Of course, I also talked to them about how, if the other person files a trademark infringement suit, it should probably be a case of passing off, then they can have some defense about, just like a Niger chemist, a Nigeria chemist, and they can say that, okay, they've been popular, withdrawing the name would affect them in so and so. People already know them. They are first in time and all of that. But the fact remains that they did not trademark the name. All they have is the CAC registration. These people
Okay.
have the trademark, and I think
Okay,
they also
see.
have company registration, but it will come maybe afterwards. I don't know how that part played out, but there's a limited in front of their name, so we can assume.
Okay, because there's this case that there's another case I read on this issue of conflicting company registration. So the claim of the person was that the name the person is using in Nigeria conflicts with his registered name, with the already registered name of a foreign company.
Okay.
That get, and because of the fact that there is that company in Nigeria, get that the person cannot use that name. But the basis of their claim is that that name conflicts with a company that is registered, I think, in the USA or one foreign country like that. And the Court of Appeal clearly said that if you look
When
at
you say registered, are you talking about CAC or trademark?
no, I'm talking about just company registration first.
Okay,
That I registered company A with Corporate Affairs Commission.
okay.
Then another person come up and say that my company that I registered is conflicting with an already registered name in a foreign country.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? So the Supreme Court said that if you look at the clear provision, not the Court of Appeal said, look at the clear provisions of the Company and Allied Matters Act. It only refers to companies that are registered in where? In Nigeria. So that it doesn't take cognizance of companies that are registered elsewhere. So that means that if you see a name of a company that you like that is existing in probably in the USA and you want to use the name,
you are
have to
free.
register in Nigeria. The business of it is just about the companies that are registered where? In Nigeria. Yeah. So, and then let's look at it. And when you talk about trademarking a name, trademarking a name deals with what? You want to protect the interest in that name, right?
Yes.
What it means is that as at when you were registering that name, there was no interest in that name, right? So, but right now, whether you did your search with trademark department, but you didn't do search with your CAC
No.
department. Yeah. So now, after you have registered with trademark, you now discover that really there's actually a company that existed before I did mine. You get what I'm saying? That has this name that I've actually trademarked. It's even that person that first registered, if he is aware of that thing, he even has more right to trademark this thing. Commission actually withdraw that trademark because it was registered based on fraud and misrepresentation. You get the point of what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because
But
you
you
get the point
know
of what I'm
that
saying.
the trademark body, the trademarking body at the Ministry of Trade and whatnot, and the Corporate Affairs Commission, they don't work together. So they don't have
Yes,
like a
yes,
unified database. So if you're searching at
yes,
CAC, you are searching in CAC's record. If they are searching at Trademark, they are searching in their own record, separate.
yes. Yes, so what I'm just trying to say is that when you look at it as regards the first in time, because on the one hand, you cannot use a trademark registration, you get what I'm saying, to
Mm-hmm.
knock off a registration. That's one thing I want you to know first. You get
Okay.
what I'm trying to say?
Okay.
Because the
Okay.
act
I think
doesn't
that's the
say
important
that
thing I want us
that's the
to
important
bring out.
thing. Because the act says what? No company that is already registered. If a company wants to be registered, it should not be conflict. It should not conflict an already registered name.
Okay.
So it talks about names that are registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission. You get the point of what I'm trying to say. So you
Yes.
cannot bring a trademark registration to come and start telling CAC based on the fact that you are registered with trademark. They will ask you, did you register a company, any company with us? That is the only ground for your claim. That what happened? You first of all registered a company with CAC.
Mm-hmm.
And now there's a company that's competing with that is the only ground. So you cannot bring trademark or copyright or you get what I'm trying to say. And what have you to come and start telling CAC as ground for them to withdraw your words, to withdraw the certificate that they've already issued to someone that registered you to a company. You get what I'm trying to. I don't know if you I think you have actually arrived at the point I was trying to make. That the
Okay.
duty of CAC about a company, they don't consign themselves with any trademark.
Okay.
You get what so
Yes.
if the only time your right will start rising if you want to do anything is to what? Maybe when the person wants to go and register a trademark. But since he has that name,
Yes.
and if the person actually finds out that you also registered that name with CAC, he's even the one
Yes.
that has
I want us to talk about that.
because you came in later in time.
Exactly.
The fact that you went and did the trademark or whatever it is does not remove the foundation of your words of your registration.
Okay.
You
Okay.
get the point I'm
Yes.
trying there's no you can't bring trademark registration. For instance, it's just like people sometimes try try to twist the law or try to twist circumstance because if you really look at the meaning of trademark and business registration and company registration, you find out that they're really talking about different things. Just like now, I registered Chimezie Ndubuisi Limited. Can I go and trademark Chimezie Ndubuisi Limited? You get what I'm trying to say? You
Okay.
can only
You
trademark.
probably just trademark Chimezie Ndubuisi.
Yes, you trademark something that is distinct. You understand what I'm trying to say? Just like now, maybe someone registered Chimezie Ndubuisi Limited and says nobody should use limited again. If the person went and trademark limited, even if trademark limited for you, it's not right.
It's not
You
right.
get because it's a generic word. You get what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
nobody can you cannot go and trademark that you are the owner of A, alphabet A. Nobody in the world should use alphabet A
I
again.
remember when Kanye West was trying to trademark Sunday service, and the
So
and the registration body denied it because we've been using Sunday service even before he was born. So you can't now say you
eh,
want to become the owner of that phrase, Sunday service. Mhm.
so so
Okay.
for me, the person that
Yes.
registered the second does not have any rights.
Okay.
You can see from the letter he sent to you, he has not even established his clear rights in from that letter. Because the foundation of his letter should be what? Look at when I registered my company.
Okay. So I think the letter just said, "Oh, we trademarked it, and at the time we trademarked it, we searched and we couldn't find you. So we are the owner of the name under trademark.
Yes.
So cease and desist from using the
No, no,
name."
no. Like I said, this that letter does not have any foundation as regards that person's company registration is concerned. You get what I'm
Okay.
saying? That's the law. Your only ground for asking somebody to desist from using a name is what? Is because you registered the name, the company name before him. You get what
Okay.
I'm saying? And CAC, based on inadvertence, now did not take cognizance of that your previous registered name and now registered a fresh. That is the only ground for you to actually tell somebody, any company that was registered under with CAC to actually change their name or desist from using their name. That is the only ground, not on the ground of trademark.
I'm even looking
You
at
get
from what we have talked about. I'm even looking at a situation whereby maybe the first person who registered with CAC could write to CAC asking that they deregister this people that have written the letter, and then because they would register them, they have the trademark. This person has CAC. So if they want to do business in Nigeria, they have to register with another name, which means the trademark will no longer be useful for them since they have to use another name now. So they could even reach, a settlement that, okay, sell the trademark to, or license the trademark to me who has the CAC registration. Then you go and trademark something else and register afresh. So that's a possibility too.
Interrogate them very well. You find out that they intentionally withheld that information as regards when they registered their company
Their
registration.
company. So if this person too has a good lawyer, that's the first place to start. When did
Yes,
this
that's
company, where did they register
yes.
this company?
The foundation. No matter where you go to, even if, let's say it comes to CAC, the first question CAC will ask is, when was your company registered?
Registered. So I
When
think
was
that
this
what
registered?
we've been able to deduce from all our conversation so far is that CAC derives its power of registration and control from the Constitution. I've talked about Section
Yes.
16. So it is the foremost body and the most superior body, for you to register your business with in Nigeria. So once you are registered with CAC, we can say to a very large extent that you are home and dry. You're safe,
Yes.
notwithstanding other things that you do. And then don't forget that our guest has already said that you have 28 days after starting a business to register it, or you might be found culpable even of a crime, and you might serve a term, a jail term, and all of that. So I think that this is a good place to stop, but I want to advise people generally who have not registered their business, or who don't think that registration is something that important or necessary. We already mentioned that businesses spring up in Nigeria, every other day. So you advise, what do you have to say to people like that?
Okay, well, the from the practical aspect of it, from a practical, I like giving the practical aspect of any legal advice that I give. From a practical aspect of it, I would say if you start a business in Nigeria and you have the means, register it. If you don't have the means, work towards having the means to register. I will not, I'm never a fan of saying that you must wait until you have money to register your business before you start it. No, if you have a business that you have, start it, start the business. Then when you now have the money for the registration, you register. Or let's say you started today and you only have money for business name registration, which is the cheapest registration. Register the business, and your end product is what is a company registration. Register the business name registration first. At least
Okay.
it helps you secure your business. Then when the company begins to expand, since they have a provision for what conversion, you can convert from a business name to a company.
Okay.
Then the name of your business. It's just that there will be addition of what is that limited or PLC.
Mhm.
You get? So what advice is always start your business.
Good.
Start your business first. When the business becomes start making profits, because at the end of the day, why are we going into business? Not to make
To
profits.
make profits.
So if you don't have the means of doing company compliance, you get what I'm saying? First of all, start your business. Once you now have the money, you get what I'm saying? You register your business. If you don't have money for company registration and you want to protect your company, first of all, register as what? As a business name. When
Mhm.
the business begins to grow and you want to now change to company, you now want to play with the big boys, you change to what? Company registration, which is allowed
Mm.
under the law. So
And
my advice is just do what you can do at every point in time.
yes, and
Do
even
what
if
you
you start with a small capital, you can always file for increments of share capital and all of that. So you
of
can
course.
always progress, but there must be a starting point. So just work towards starting, with legal compliance. So comply with the law, register your business, and then you can continue to increase your compliance as you go
And
on.
the truth is,
Thank you.
no matter
Thank you so much. So what if I've registered my business? Is that all? Can I go to sleep? Or are there things that come after registration that has to do with what you do?
no, no. Once you register your business, of course, you can use it to open your bank account. Like I stated earlier, open a bank account so that you have a bank account for your business. And then another thing is yes, annual returns. Annual returns is
Okay.
very, very. annual returns that you file it each year. So the reason why people don't file annual returns is because they feel like if they file annual returns, CAC will start taxing them. And I've always told them the CAC is not the agency responsible for taxation in Nigeria. The reason why you file your annual return is just to notify CAC that your business is still a going concern.
Okay.
That's the reason why, because under the law, CAC actually has power to deregister a company that has not filed its annual returns for a consent period of 10 years,
Oh,
such that the company does no longer exist. So your filing annual return just notify CAC that okay, my business is still a going concern. That's just the purpose of filing annual returns. And then if you don't file annual returns, we cannot do any post incorporation,
okay.
because if incorporation on the CAC portal, you must give evidence that you have filed your annual returns up to date. So
Okay.
that's how to. These are some of the things that all these people that all these business registration agents don't know.
Don't know
Yes.
about. So that's why it's important to do business with a lawyer. So once you have done the registration for a client, do they have to keep coming back to you for all these other things they need
No,
to do?
they don't have to.
Is this
They
something
don't
they
have
can do
to.
by themselves, or are you saying they can use any other lawyer?
Okay, that's what I'm saying. They can use any other lawyer to do it.
Okay, okay,
They're agent of CAC.
okay, okay. All right,
Each of those positions, the CAC will issue you an acknowledgement that this thing has been done, and you print it and send to your. So it's not
okay.
compulsory that the person that registered it that will do all the processes.
All right. Thank you so much, Chimezie, for coming today. So if people want to contact you for any business registration concern, they want to register their business, file returns, or maybe someone has registered for them and there's a fault and they need to correct it, or they want to get legal consultation from you, paid legal consultation, because lawyers must be
Very
paid
much.
and all of that.
Very much.
For any concern regarding this your area of expertise at all, how can they contact you? So give us maybe your email, your social media address. I don't encourage people to give their phone number on the channel because it's YouTube. YouTube flags, if you put it in the comments or something, YouTube flags it. I think maybe for security concerns. But if you are comfortable with putting your phone number out, please go on. But just any means of contacting you, give it to us now.
Okay. Well, I actually and that's on my
Okay.
regular line. WhatsApp contact, like I mean WhatsApp is 080
Okay.
64 56211. Or if that WhatsApp is too personal for you, you can then send me a message on my email, chimezie4@gmail.com.
All
Just
right.
my name, chimezie4@gmail.com.
All right, all right. Thank you so much. So those are the contacts on the screen. So make sure you contact our lawyer, our legal luminary, our guest for today for all your CAC concerns, all your business registration concerns, questions, briefs and what have you. So thank you so much for coming on the channel today. We are going to round up now. So we hope that if we call you some other time, you would come again. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you very much.
Bye.